Hey guys, it's Jennie Wolek with the Wolek Group, Keller Williams Realty here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Today I'm here with my friend Jennifer Vick out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Jennifer, we have met over the years at multiple Keller Williams events, and you reached out to me because I had mentioned something, an idea that my coach had mentioned, which was based on the book, The Golden Handoff. And you said, I've done this. So I'm so excited that we get to chat and you can educate me and other real estate agents who maybe haven't worked through this on the pros and the cons and the goods and the bads. So you want to first off just share with everyone where you are and what you do and how you got into this business?
Yes, so I am in our Valentine Market Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in real estate 13 years. So I started right when the market was great, right?
Yep.
And survived. I was a teacher before a realtor. I've got a small team here in Charlotte, and I work as our primary listing agent and then lead our team. So I started this process of the Golden Handoff a little over 3 years ago, and it was accidental.
Yeah. Relationships sometimes are
It,
anyway.
yeah, it truly has all been relationship based, and because one went really well, it led to the others.
Yeah.
So I've now merged three businesses into mine,
Yep.
and it's been a lot of practicing different systems and procedures and seeing what worked well, what didn't. But we've kind of got a pretty good marketing plan that we put together with the first one that has really transitioned to make all the others work well.
Well, this is just so me. I'm such a high D, go do it. So, like, I knew there was a book. I know the idea of the book. I haven't read the book. I just am going to go and just, build the boat as I'm sailing across the ocean. Now, you actually have researched it and you understand and you have, taken risks in merging businesses and you've learned a lot. So, for those who may not know, why don't you just share the whole idea and where this all came from?
So it's based off of the book, The Golden Handoff. And so we read the book, the first merger that I did, we read the book together, and we talked to the author. We talked to some other agents who had also done similar merging businesses. Some had bought other businesses out, and there's different ways of doing it.
Mhm.
Um, and we set meetings weekly, twice a week as we got closer. And I am a big thinker. I like to have my plan put together before I implement, and sometimes that paralyzes me. But
Wow.
we set a hard date of this is the date that that particular agent, Lynn Burnett, she moved to Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Um, so we knew the date she was moving, and we had to get everything ready by
Yeah.
then. So with all three that I have merged with, they've all moved to other cities or states, whether they were starting business there or doing something completely different.
Mhm.
And so the premise is if somebody were to retire from real estate, they have this excellent book of business and all these relationships they've built, people that know and love them. You don't want to leave them having to start over. So why not connect them with another agent that's going to care for them the way you did? Um, and that's the same thing that we've done with the agents that have moved out of town. They had a solid book of business that we merged into our book of business, and we care for them the same way they did.
So, what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way? Because I'm sure there's plenty.
Right. I think a lot of it is knowing if your personality is similar to the agent that you're going to be caring for their clientele. That's it, it has to be somewhat similar, or the way you work has to be similar. The way you communicate with your clients, and the way you do your business. So systems and processes, we went through a lot of that. What do they do from start to finish? What does their lead generation look like? How do they connect with their clients? We're really big into client events and parties, and all three of my agents that I merged with, they didn't really do those. So that was something that we had to introduce to their clientele, and they've all loved it. But the nice thing about that is we bring those agents to the parties or the events. So they come to probably 2 to 4 events per year. So all of their past clients get to see them. And it's an extra incentive to say, hey, you're going to get to see Lynn at the event. She'll be there and she can't wait to see you.
That is fun. I love that idea. Now you've been successful, or have worked through this with 3 other real estate agents. Have there been others and they just weren't a fit? Where have you gone with that?
I've been, like I said, I think things through, and I don't want to take on too much that I don't think I can handle keeping up with all of those people, because really what they had to do was scrub their database before they gave it to me. So I needed to know what was the connection with those people. And they didn't really give a lot of not Mets. It was more Mets. It was core advocates and past clients that we focused on, and their sphere. So, some databases were larger than others, but many were pretty condensed, that we knew that they would want to carry on business with us. And I forgot the rest of your question.
Well, what you made me think of, what was typically the size of their databases? So they cleaned them up for you, they put a pretty bow on it, and then they pass them over to you. Now, how many people typically?
Average somewhere between 500 and 800, maybe. 2 of the agents had been in the business more than 10 years. So, looking through their database and seeing who they had stayed in touch with. And then the other agent had been in the business probably 5-6 years. So the database was a little bit smaller. And so that made, a little bit easier to merge it. And that was the most recent. No, that was the second merger, was the smallest in number.
So what are the biggest challenges with this?
The biggest challenges is it's the lead generation piece. So it's making that connection with the clientele, and keeping it continuous. So one thing at every mega camp and family reunion, when I talk to larger teams where they're doing quarterly calls, I always ask whoever's on the panel, what are you doing to make this connection if you've never worked with that person? Or, what we do is we divide it up so each person in the database hears from at least one person from our team during the year. So I might call them first quarter, and then one of my agents on the team will call them the next quarter, and so forth. And I don't know that a lot of people are doing that, because what they're doing is having their agents call who they've worked with in the past, their database. So that's been a little bit different with making that connection. And, some of the scripts we think of is we always say, we talked to Lynn last week and she told us to tell you hello, or she'd love to hear that you just had a baby. We'll make sure to tell her that, so that we're all still connected. And a lot of our calls are really to invite to events or to have offerings. So that makes it a lot easier to make those calls that it may not have been someone you worked with in the past or have that connection. But I think the events and being, belly to belly, I guess you'd say, is really the way we make the connections with those clients we haven't met before.
Well, okay, so we got to know the results and the numbers. So
I knew you'd ask, and I don't have them written down. I asked my assistant this morning, I said, can you send me numbers? Let me see if I can find them real quick on my phone.
Well, and if not, just, you have seen a return.
Definitely a return. And I think, like I told you when we first got started, that it's a lot is what those agents put into it. And so when we talk about, we put together a marketing plan with each of the agents of what the plan is. So, there's a big announcement that the teams have merged. We make sure to have an event before they leave town or before they retire, and invite their whole database and just their database so they can meet the team. And we make it really special. but then it's all the touches, making sure they're getting the newsletters and the calls and the events and the drop-bys and all of those. But really, I think probably the key was making sure that those agents stayed connected at least for a period of time. So it was almost like they just gradually eased their way out and no one noticed anymore.
Right. Over time, they just forgot who their agent was.
Right.
So is there any upfront cost for you besides just the time you're putting in? And then are you paying a referral fee for a certain
We're
period?
paying referral fees for a certain time period. We had attorneys draft agreements with each one, and they're all different depending on what we all agreed to do. So it's referral fees for a certain number of years, and then the percentages change each year.
Okay.
Really, the only upfront cost was my marketing. My marketing fees increased each year as the database increases because the events get bigger, the mailings get bigger, things like that.
And hopefully your production gets bigger.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And I would say, we always look at what our numbers are and what we've done, and there's always room for improvement. I think that we could certainly do a better job staying connected to some of the clientele, but I do think we have a pretty good plan of how we do it.
That was my next question. And how do you lead generate to agents that would be potential candidates for this? Is it a part of your calls to your in-town agent community or promoting this, that you offer this?
Now, that's something I need to work on. I haven't been lead generating to agents. I had one successful merger. Another agent reached out to that agent and asked about successes, how it was. So then that worked. And then the same thing, they all kind of fed off of each other.
Yeah.
And I think now I feel more equipped that we can handle more, because I think my fear was that if we had too many people, I wouldn't be able to give them all the love and support and remember who they were. And I think we're at the place now that I think we could handle more. So that's actually a plan I probably need to work on, is how I lead generate for more, databases that I can help and care for.
Yeah, well, now you have a proven track record of success. You can, use that as your story.
Right.
Here, look at Lynn. She was moving off to another city and she allowed me and trusted me to carry on her, and then see how much Lynn has made over the past year.
And she'd probably be another great person to talk to hear from the other side of that, of, how she's benefited. And she still has kept relationships. They all have kept the relationships with the clients. And in fact, some of their past clients are still calling them first, and then she does another warm handoff, because sometimes they won't remember, they don't open their email, or things like that. That it's an agreement that if they feel good about it and they're happy, and they continue to keep advocating.
Yeah, I love this whole idea. I'm so grateful that you shared it. Any final thoughts that you had written down that we were going to talk about that I didn't ask you?
No, I had more questions for you than.
Okay, good. We'll do that offline, because I won't have great answers like you.
Yeah. Well, I think it really comes down to, it's spending the time to talk to that person and really understand what's important in their business, how they've treated their clients. We actually went on listing appointments and buyer consults together too. That was huge, because somebody can tell you how they do it, but when you see them in action, then you watch them, they're modeling it for you.
Yeah.
I think it was a great piece to remember. And then I think just following the system of making sure that you have enough events to invite people to, so that you can see them, and maybe even breaking them up into smaller groups sometime. And bringing those agents back, if they're willing to do it, is a huge reconnector.
Oh, wow. That is such good stuff. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing all that. Since
You're
I just threw
welcome.
you on video without you knowing that was
I know.
Oh, well, you're so awesome. I'll let us get off now. If you guys need anything from me, just let me know. 706-9845. Thanks, lady, for sharing.
Absolutely.
Bye.